Now today, I've kindly been invited by Footman James to this year's Concours of Elegance, held at the beautiful and prestigious Hampton Court in the south of England. And in attendance are also the most beautiful, incredible and rarest classic cars in the entire world. Almost straight away, I'm met by an Aston Martin DBS Vantage, a Lamborghini 350 GT, a Ferrari 275 GTB, and how about this stunning Ferrari 250 GT Coupe Aerodynamica, a Ferrari 250 GT Lusso, and a Shelby Cobra. You know, to bump into these first 6 cars is simply mind-blowing, and I'm not even 5 minutes into the show. Just look at this Ferrari Dino 196 S Spider, the legendary D-Type Jaguar. Anyway, enough of my dulcet tones. Why don't you just sit back and enjoy the cars as they arrive. Three beautiful Zagatos. And let's just take a minute to take in this beautiful setting. The original Tudor Hampton Court Palace was begun by Cardinal Wolsey in the early 16th century, but soon caught the eye of King Henry VIII, who took the palace for himself, bringing all of his 6 wives here. In 1689, William III commissioned elegant new Baroque additions, including the fountain garden where this event is now being held. Occupied by royalty until 1737, aristocracy then took their place, and in 1838, it was opened to the public by Queen Victoria. With the cars all settled and parked in their allotted positions, as a previous owner, I just had to catch up with this magnificent long wheelbase Mercedes 600. This is the same colour as the Pick Boater 600 out of short wheelbase. Remember when I owned 3? And it was exactly this colour, like a sort of browny grey. I think it's a beautiful colour. I don't know what the history is behind this, but mine had right-hand drive. This is quite clearly a left-hand drive. But the people who own these were always statesmen or, you know, people really high up or very, very rich, like the Rothschilds. Or what an amazing car. And when you look in the back, you've just got like a basic radio. Some of them have TVs in, and it's got like a Neanderthal heater in the middle as well as air conditioning, of course. And you've also got curtains in the back here for privacy. These are so often missing from cars because people just do away with them, but what a car. The way it sits as well, it's beautiful. Obviously all the air suspension's in perfect order. It isn't sinking. What a car. And what a registration number. So, Suf.
Hi, Gary.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
Tell me about your beautiful 600.
So this is a 1969 600 Pullman, which means it's the extended wheelbase version.
Is this the 6-door, what they call a 6-door?
No, so this is a 4-door.
Oh, it's a 4-door,
A 6-door would typically have additional handles here.
Yeah.
Not all of them do. Some of them only open from the inside. Yeah. But the easiest way to tell a 6-door is that they all have jump seats. Right. Folding seats that go out of the way so you can open the doors.
Has this got the soft closing doors?
Yes, it does. So this is an earlier chassis.
Yeah.
In around 1970, 71, they stopped the hydraulic soft closed doors.
Yeah.
It's not like a modern soft closed door system.
I thought they stopped them earlier because I had one, it was a 65 and had the soft closing doors. Yes. I had a 71, the pick bolter one, and it didn't.
Yeah, so it was around the 70 period. So, you know, with these cars, it was all sort of phased out slowly depending on the year and depending on the car.
Yeah.
So this has it. This is chassis number 1369.
Right.
So I think around 1400 they sort of phased it out. It's not like a modern soft closed door where typically you'd hit it there and it would suck itself shut. This one is more, it eases the impact, so it just makes it easier to shut, which is really cool. Very expensive to maintain, and when they go wrong, they are a nightmare.
I've done it, I've been there. Can we see inside?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is completely unrestored.
Completely unrestored.
Yeah, unrestored.
Wow.
There. Still the original leather.
Yeah, it's got the railway pattern on the seats, and it's cognac, that colour.
Cognac, exactly.
Which was a, you know, quite not a rare colour, but
unique. It was definitely
yeah.
special. I've always liked the velour interiors, and I've much preferred those.
Yeah, but it doesn't do it for me. But I believe it's super comfortable.
They're very comfortable.
Yeah.
But as you know, all the hydraulics, you've got central partition.
Yeah.
Windows and reclining rear seat.
The speed the windows go up.
So that's the seat there, and that's the window.
And silent, and the thud, that'll take your wrist clean off.
Absolutely.
And I love this.
The wind deflector,
It's a nice
so
it doesn't spoil your hair.
Exactly.
If you got the window down.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
We've actually done a test where we wanted to see how violent the windows were.
The seats.
Yeah, so we did an experiment with the windows where we wanted to see would it cut your finger off.
Yeah.
We got various fruits and tried to chop them with the windows.
Yeah.
And it will cut clean through carrots and cucumbers.
Yeah.
So it will cause injury.
I think the boot's the scary one.
It is.
Because it really comes down at some
really
rate,
does.
doesn't it?
It's a bit of a mess in the boot at the moment.
Yeah.
But obviously the pressure's a little bit low because I've been demonstrating it all day.
That's frightening, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah. These often don't work properly as well.
They're a nightmare to rebuild.
Well, I had one. Out of the three, they all worked. Sorry, two of them worked and one didn't. It used to go up okay, but coming down, it'd come all the way down, then you had to push it shut.
Okay. Well, they actually have an adjustable switch on there.
You have to have a really thin screwdriver to get down,
exactly.
and sometimes when it's toast, the switch. I used to send mine off to a guy called Wolfgang Will in Germany, and he used to come back like 10 days later.
Fantastic.
400, 500 euros, 1,000 euros later.
At the very least. I think one of my switches cost me almost £2,000 to have rebuilt.
That would have been the
four-way, exactly. So they can be expensive, but it's a pleasure, and I enjoy every moment of it. And just taking it to shows is so pleasurable, and seeing people's reactions to it.
What a gorgeous car! I mean, if you had the money, if you were a Rothschild or some high up politician, whatever, and you had money to burn, this was the car to be in, wasn't it?
I think it still is. I would take this over a modern Rolls-Royce any day.
Yeah.
Any day.
You couldn't go down to Sainsbury's in it though. Well, you could, but
you could. Depends how good your driver is.
A couple of trolleys shoved into it.
Exactly. It's got a very large boot. You could fit a month's worth of shopping in there, probably.
Yeah.
So it's a practical car and 7 seats.
I see you've got the glass partition in this.
Correct. So most Pullmans have the partition. I think of the 400 or so made, there's only 5 or 6 that don't have it.
Right.
One of those is in Romania in a very well-known collection called the Tiriac collection.
It's always handy, you know, when you've got the kids screaming in the back. It's just like, press the button.
Well, the really cool story about that one is, these are not very nice to drive. When there's a partition, it's really far forward and very uncomfortable. I get hip pains after about half an hour. So
just get a chauffeur.
Yeah. Would you trust someone to drive it?
I would actually, yeah.
No, for me, I just can't. It's my baby. This is my Mona Lisa.
I found them really easy to drive, considering how big they are.
Yeah, they are. The white one in Romania, the story with that is it was originally delivered to a Texan billionaire who wanted a Pullman because he wanted to fit his whole family in the car, but he didn't enjoy driving a car with a partition. Right. So he ordered it without the partition. And it is fantastic. It looks
but at the end of the day, it's just a car, isn't it?
Yes.
But, you know, I trust people with my car, but I wouldn't trust anyone with the missus, of course. But, you know, you say you're not a very trusting person, but it's just a car.
Yes, it is. Fantastic. Yeah, no worries.
The judges are here.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much, Gary.
See you later. So, while Suf is dealing with the judges, a little segue here. Now, a few months ago, Footman James invited me to the Dorchester Hotel in Mayfair in London to celebrate 100 years of the Motorsport magazine. You see, they're not just a classic car insurance company, but through their Coffee and Chrome collective, they enable members to gain access to tickets to exclusive events throughout the year.
I actually had a moment driving alongside Mika when we still had the German Grand Prix in Nürburgring. We were out, the two of us on track. And in that infield section, I guess it's like turn 3 or 4, we'd agreed beforehand, doing an agreement with an ex-teammate's always difficult, that we would keep sort of swapping around just to entertain the crowd. So I went down his inside at turn 4 and he started to turn in and I actually spun the car, trying not to interlock wheels with whatever old Mercedes he was in. So I could have imagined I would flip upside down and was stopped in the middle of the track. Now anyone who's seen my career won't be surprised that I spun a car, but to do it in that car particularly was a bit of a, you know, underwear changing moment. But yeah, beautifully engineered, incredible torque from those engines, and you can really, you know, I've always loved the engineering art that is the race car, and I don't think it matters whether it's the cars from previous generations or the cars of today. There's something beautiful in them all.
Rubbing shoulders with the likes of David Coulthard. I met Jackie Stewart, but Derek Bell was the most interesting guy of the night, who regaled stories of his friend Paul Newman and the 2 years he spent with Steve McQueen while making the movie Le Mans. Priceless.
So, for the benefit of everyone here, can we have a few more words into what it was like to drive the first ever Porsche winner Le Mans?
Well, I think in those days you could build the screen any much. You could have the roof line as low as you wanted from the designer's point of view, but the driver had to adapt to that, and we were very, very laid back, and it was very uncomfortable, as you found out. But it was very practical. It was wind sheeting.
I wouldn't call it practical.
No.
Jinx was probably the best, I think probably the best motor racing journalist that there was. I mean, he was a great writer. He was a great commander of the British language, and he hated me. We went to race in Detroit, and the Ford Motor Company had a test track in Detroit, and I was with Ford for quite a long time. So I was driving everybody around in the fastest Fords that they had at that time. And Jinx finally got told to sit with me so that I took him round the track and we'd give it full whack. And suddenly Jinx was my friend. He loved, you know, and he got me to drive again the same day. And suddenly, from being Jackie Stewart, a complete idiot, he became a friend.
Yeah.
And
but on the subject of circuit safety that you were so pioneering about, I mean, how did your relationship with him change once Jenks realised that you were right?
I think it was painful for him, but it had to happen. We would have, I think, particularly Formula One, would have closed at one point or another. There's the accidents that were taking place with no runoff areas, with no medical people. I mean, at Brands Hatch at one time, the chief medical officer was a gynecologist. Now you can understand a racing driver being a gynecologist.
And now back to Hampton Court. And after some amazing hospitality in the VIP and Owner's Marquee, I check out the cars on the podium being judged.
You would not think of this immediately as a 250 short wheelbase. I think you'd think of it as a Super America. Are ensconced in the bumper. I think quite a lot of Super America, of course, a lot of American influence and styling from the 50s found its way into these cars. Would you agree in some ways?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, the styling is so unique because of these cutouts.
Yeah.
Those who followed on in the GTO were the adopted.
Then I meet up with my old friend Ian Tyrrell, who gives me an insight into the judging procedure. So Ian, as always, good to see you again.
And you?
What a great show.
It's great. It is.
It's like the creme de la creme, isn't it?
It is. They've got some amazing cars here. There's a real buzz about it. It's fantastic.
I mean, came in before, walked down the main causeway there from the main entrance. I got about 4 or 5 cars in. There was a D-type Jaguar. There was an old 30s Aston Martin. I was like, oh my God, it's like heaven, isn't it? And the further you get in, the better the cars get.
Yeah, yeah. McLaren F1, Aston Martin DB4 Zagato, GT Zagato, some beautiful cars there.
Ian, when you judge cars like I'm sure you've judged this one before, yeah? What's the rule? I mean, what do you look for? Do you go from car to car? You spend a bit of time on each car, and obviously you're judging on a concours car, right?
Yes.
Or a concours car. So, I mean, just for the viewers, it's not just about a perfect car to look at. It's more about the correct overspray under the sills, and you know the right little screws in the right place, and little anal things like that. Yeah.
Well, generally, what happens is you start with 100%.
Yeah.
And you work down
Knocking
from
points
100%. So you don't immediately walk up to a car and say, that looks like a 50% car to me. It's more scientific than that. As you say, it's about, should that, on an F40, should that overspray be behind the vents? A BMW CSL, how aligned should the panels be on it? It's all that business, and you deduct points.
That's right. If you get them too perfect, then you get points deducted, yeah, because they weren't like totally lined up, were they?
Yeah.
And I was looking at I think it was Bangers and Cash I was watching a few weeks ago, and they had an Aston Martin there, and they showed one front light to the other one, and the gap between that and the bonnet, and it was completely different, like by half an inch or something, because they were hand built.
Yes.
But you know, if you were to rebuild a car like that, then you would lose points if you got it too perfect, because they like the imperfections, because that's the way it was when it came out of the factory, whatever, or when it was built.
It's a bit of a tightrope being a judge in that respect, really.
But do you feel, Ian, there's also a certain amount of responsibility that comes with the judging, because you can look at one car, for instance, and you think that's brilliant, that's the one. Then you move to the next one in line, you've half forgotten what the last one was, and you suddenly, oh my God, this is amazing, this is the best one now.
Well, sometimes we have to revisit the first one, having established a standard to make sure that we're being fair to them and authentic.
Because as a car
well.
builder, you must realise what goes in, heart and soul goes into rebuilding a car to get it to perfection and do a job proper, do a job right. So you've got to take that into consideration as well. Being a car builder yourself, you know.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a tough job.
It is tricky. It is tricky. That's why you've sort of got to be on your game, really, in a funny sort of way, just to make sure that what you say is irrefutable. You know.
you know, go on the champagne after you've judged the cars, not before.
Hopefully. Same with the owners. Otherwise it can all get a bit contentious. Yeah.
Or the Prosecco in your case, sorry, I should have said.
Alcohol free, of course.
Well, look, Ian, lovely. I've had a lovely day. Have you had a lovely
yes,
day?
I have. It's great.
As always, great to speak to you.
You too. All right.
Top man. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
And they just keep on coming. I mean, just look at this Aston Martin DB4 Volante convertible. King Charles got one of these for his 21st birthday present. And my favourite car in the entire show was this 1937 Cord, owned by the one and only pioneering aviator Amelia Earhart, who purchased the car new back in 1936. What a car. But the overall Best in Show winner, voted by the other Concours owners, was this 1937 Rolls-Royce Phantom 3 convertible by Inskip. This has been an amazing experience from start to finish, so thank you so much to Footman James, and once again thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching this episode of Classic Obsession. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you all next time.